everyone. Hi, Petronella.
Hi, gorgeous. Really lovely to see you. And I love what you said. Narelle and I had a quick chat on the phone the other day. Hope I'm not stealing your thunder, hun, but you said, let's remember what phones were originally for, what they were meant for talking to our friends and our family, not for getting dopamine hits from the likes and whatever else. Yeah, so I thought that was really, really key. Very important. And Narelle said, and she is, like I was just saying, my darling, I just said, you are a lady who walks your talk, and you've been through all this with your phone and you've broken up and you have a great relationship now. I think that's true to say, is it?
I think so. But it's a work in progress.
We're all a work in progress, aren't we? We really are. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
So I know that Narelle could, and she will, tell us some really amazing things and really useful things. I just thought I'd like to introduce a little bit about circadian rhythm, which is basically how we're, before Narelle starts with her fantastic stuff. Circadian rhythm, it basically means how us human beings are connected with our own inner clocks. We've got these clock genes with the outside world, not just with going outside in the day, but with the seasons and with the lightness and darkness and everything else. And it's really important to remind ourselves, I think, that we may be modern creatures living extraordinary lives, but we still have the genes inside us that our grunting caveman and women had inside them. And we have changed so much beyond recognition. Our lives have changed beyond recognition, but our genes are still there and they're still pretty much the same. So, in the Bible it says, honor your father and your mother. Well, I think we could also talk about honoring our very remote, distant, grunting relatives who lived in the caves, because they're why we are here today. Without them, there'd be no us. So I think let's take a nod and look back at them and think about how they survived, and they did survive with the seasons and the changing temperatures and the changes in what they ate. Very often there wasn't any food. Sometimes there was absolute glut of food, so they were able to eat lots more and to store the excess that they ate as fat. But what they were always doing, apart from when they were sleeping, was they were outside. And most of us spend much too much of our lives inside, being able to vaguely see the sky through the window rather than actually being part of it. I think that's really, really key. And when we're outside and we're smelling the flowers or looking at the flowers and we're noticing the colours and seeing the changing season, and we're walking, which was the original human being exercise. That's all we did, unless we had to take to our heels to run, a saber-toothed tiger or whatever. We were walking. And all those things mean that we were automatically back in the parasympathetic nervous system, which is where we should spend all our time. So that's rest, digest, repair, rather than the go, go, go of the sympathetic nervous system, which is the adrenaline. Flight, fight, or freeze, actually, not just fight or flight. Freeze that's PTSD, basically. Obviously, huge simplification, but so that really helps. So let's think about paying respect to our ancient ancestors. And I was just going to say that there's a lot in life that we can't control, but there is also a lot in life that we can control, and we need to restore balance in our bodies by getting the natural rhythm back in our lives. And we all need to do as much as we possibly can to optimize sleep, because we all care about our health. Us HBDers, and anybody who's listening probably who isn't an HBDer might have come across this by mistake, in which case we're not talking about it today particularly, but human being diet. And there's a great section in here on circadian rhythm and what to do to help rebalance yours. So just coming back to that, saying there's a lot in life we can't control, but there is a lot in life that we can control. And sleep, optimizing sleep, really putting everything into place to make sure that we can get as much good restful sleep as we possibly can, is within our control. We might not be able to sleep, but that's a different thing. But we can. It's like putting a set into the theatre. It's making everything ready and everything possible for the sleep that we hope is due to come. So what happens when we're asleep is when the immune system takes back control, because the immune system and the brain both use lots of energy and they can't be in charge at the same time, which is why those of us who have children will know that when our children have fevers, they're kind of delirious. They're not really making any sense. And that's because the immune system is taking all the energy away from the brain to help it fight the bugs that are there. So that's what happens when we're asleep. We give the energy back to the immune system. And what the immune system does with that body, with that energy, is it helps to repair us. It goes around looking for creatures, nasty microbes that might have crept in during the day. But its main job really overnight is repair. It's when melatonin, that magical sleep hormone that's also an antioxidant, rises, and we don't want to interfere with that because that is very precious, being shown to help all sorts of chronic diseases. And it's when we burn fat. So that's another reason we don't want to interfere with sleeping. And it's also when we give our brains the time and the ability to detox. We don't really think about brains detoxing, but it's a very, very important part of sleep, is our brains literally regenerating and getting rid of all the crap that's accumulated in the day. So really, really key. But sleep, and I know Narelle will come on to this, is not restorative if we're looking at bright lights, especially the ones that emit blue light. Think phones, laptops, any kind of screens, and especially when it's dark outside. So darkness is not the signal to get our phones out, it's a signal to go to sleep or to get ready, to sort of unwind and get ready for the night time. A signal from the natural world to wind down and get ready to sleep. And just coming back to those clock genes, most of our bodily processes, including body temperature and blood pressure and sleep and much else besides, is ruled by these clock genes. And we've had those for millennia and they haven't changed, despite the fact that we've really changed. And yeah, as I said before, those genes and those hairy ancestors of ours took us from grunting cave dwellers to stressed out jet setters. And the stressed out jet setter bit is a bit that I know Narelle's going to help with as well. But the genes, they're still the same. So just coming back to paying more attention to our hairy, wise, surviving ancestors who spent all their time outside, most of their time looking for food and fending off wild animals. We're very lucky we can be more creative than that now because we don't have to spend lots of time looking for food or fending off predators. So yeah, our lives have changed beyond recognition. We need to spend more time looking at the changing seasons and honouring the light and the dark. And this is a line from Milton, which I only know about because I didn't go to university or anything, but my son did, and he studied Milton and Paradise Lost. And one of the lines, one of my favourite lines from that is, "For what is darkness but the absence of light?" I love that. I think it's beautiful. So eating locally and seasonally, eating seasonally, pays homage to our ancient ancestors and to our inner clocks. We naturally sleep a little less in the summer when the days are longer and the temperature's higher. And the old naturopaths used to say, in the winter, or they could turn it around and say, in the summer, go to bed an hour later and wake up an hour earlier, and vice versa. We definitely need less sleep in the summer and more sleep in the winter. And the longer days probably signal our ancestors to eat more, to lay down some fat for the winter. And yeah, we're lucky we don't have to do that anymore. So the most important things, just coming back to resetting your rhythm, circadian rhythm, eat breakfast. Once you're in phase 4, it's not so important because you're back in balance. Be really strict about bedtime, avoiding phones and TV when it's dark outside or getting close to bedtime. Because remember all those amazing things that happens when we're asleep. We really don't want to interfere or interrupt any of that. Also, get out into the light as early in the day as you possibly can. And even if you don't think it's light, even if it's a grey day, still get outside and look up at the sky, and that really helps to reset everything and will probably help you sleep better that night too. And spend more time outside, witnessing the changing of the seasons and being happy and grateful to be alive and looking at the beauty. And I think with that, looking at the beauty, Narelle, honey, we're going to hand it over to you. I'm really looking forward to this. I know it's going to be really, really interesting. And as I say, Narelle is a gal who walks her talk. She's not just giving us, instructions, which would be very helpful if we followed them, but she actually does it. So over to you, Narelle.
Oh, that was exquisite. There's so much, again, looking back to the primal nature of things that we do,
Yeah.
and habits, ultimately, habits and circumstance, that I really think the busy world that we now live in has kind of diluted some of the really, really basic, simple
Yeah.
needs that we have as humans. So, from the mere start of you saying, just in terms of phones being for connectivity. So one of those things. Okay, and I'm just going to throw out a couple of scenarios. So blue light is, we'll start with blue light because we've been talking
Yeah.
about that with circadian rhythms. Now, interestingly, there's not that much definitive data and science that is out there yet, but it's coming, about the high energy vis light. And that's what this HEV blue light is. So if anyone's looking at the spectrum of anything that they use, anything that is what they call emissive, so that's light that radiates. So LEDs, for instance, screens are all emissive. The phones that we're on, the ring light that I've got here, the bright paper white light, say like a Kindle, doesn't have this emissive nature. So there's very few products on the market that have this flat, non-reflective light.
Right.
And this is part of the stimulation that is ultimately, people are saying, is upsetting the circadian rhythm and the production of all melatonin within our lives. Now, as you know, living abroad, and for me, traveling over different time zones can completely wreak havoc. Every time I go to Australia, it does, you are literally the other side of the world. Science is proving now that it does take an hour a day to get onto a time zone. So even with the clock changes just here, you feel slightly out of a whack for a couple of days, just readjusting, because those normal triggers that you have to go to sleep, to wake up, are in constant imbalance, aren't
Yeah.
they? And so I think the hygiene part around everything that we do. Oh, sorry, she's just, what about TV? Is that immersive light? It's emissive. So EMISSIVRE. I think that's the way it's spelled. And yes, so TV is an emissive light. Anything that you see that flickers. So if you try to even pick up your phone and take a photo of a screen, you'll see that there tends to be a shudder. And it's that flickering that makes a difference. So a Kindle variant, where it's this sort of paper white, doesn't have the capacity to change screen as fast as what we're looking at now. And that's part of the light effect on it. So you've got this continuous stimulation. I think that's what you can look at as blue light. We experience blue light normally in the middle of the day, where it is at its highest, and you have this range of spectrum of light throughout the day. There's some phenomenal neuroscientists that do lots of work on light. I'll tell you the names of them now in case anyone's got this far. Dr. Matthew Walker is amazing. He's a professor of neuroscience and psychology, and he does an awful lot. He's wrote a book back in 2017 of Why We Sleep. Now, I am completely on his wavelength of, it's not just the blue light, but it's all of these external factors that are stimulating us. So not just a factor of watching things and the light that it's emitting, but the process that our brains are going through, the levels of distraction, the levels of, let's say, sometimes curiosity, but what we can be dragged into, whether it's a box set TV show where there is no end game in sight.
Yeah.
The same here on Instagram. You can just keep going and going. And so that's one of the things as well that is this sort of, this stimulant, right?
Yeah.
So another one is Dr. Cal Newport. He is the professor of computer science. And again, he is fascinating because he digs into, say, the likes of by Steve Jobs, the Apple founder. And that is a phenomenal hierarchy of, let's say, infrastructure that is there. TV, wrist devices, phone. It's this infrastructure that is going to lure us in every facet of our life. Now, let's just question why Steve Jobs, and there's even schools in Silicon Valley that do not allow their children to use the products.
Wow.
So when you think of things like that, it's relatively questionable. They know. It's the same as you go to Vegas, you go to a casino. They are pumping in extra stimulants to keep you there. This lure of the hit of the ultimate jackpot. And when you look at, say, something like socials, as a scenario, this constant pull. There is no end game. You don't know what you're coming on here to find. You don't know what we're going to say next. And it's that this lure is fascinating. So he's interesting just in the computer science part of it, of this programming. Then another one who actually seems to be getting a lot of airtime at the moment, and I saw Katie posted a post on him this morning. It's a guy called Adam Alter. Now, he is a psychologist. He's also got this amazing book of how to get unstuck. So he does an awful lot of, again, work with digital side, but again, creating and looking at your habits, what you're doing in order, like you said, to control you. And that's one thing I say to anyone, and which I've had to do for myself, is put myself in a position of me controlling my usage so that I am not responding to what it is doing. And because everything, as we know, is designed to be like, come here, whether it's buying something, whether it's to engage likes, whether it's to promote, whether it's to antagonize, whether it's to humor, engagement, you know. And I think any of us here right now, I think the first thing we can do is really ask yourself, what is your relationship with your phone? I know it's weird. And my family have always thought I've been quite weird. So scroll back to not long after when I first started, the human being died in November 2020. We'd gone out for dinner, and some of you may have heard this, and I was there with my family, and I just listened to something that Ariana Huffington, so she's got the HuffPost, and she, again, is all about breaking habits and owning yourself and connecting with you. Now, she described these smartphones, because that's ultimately what they are, any of these devices, any of these apps, but smartphones in particular, as the perfect mistress. And I was like, okay, how do I relate this to in my own life? The hits that it gets, the buzz, the lure, the attraction, the pings, the satisfaction, all of these things intertwined. And so I went to dinner and said to my family, I guess this is like my best friend. The guffawing, the everything. Now, I don't take my phone to to the toilet. There are people in my household that do. Now, they thought that I was obviously kind of losing myself. I've obviously been doing socials for quite a while on the creating side as well as consuming. So I've got a different level of usage, let's say. But looking at your phone and your relationship. So what are the emotions that you feel when you go in to anything that you are using? So if you're coming onto Instagram, for instance, and you don't know what you're looking for, but often when you're coming in just for some entertainment, perhaps some inspiration, perhaps looking to learn something, and again, you don't know what you're going to find, do you? So if you see something and you respond in a particular way, once you come off it, it's interesting because some people go, oh, I'm just going on there for entertainment. And then when you come off and you can go, oh, actually, no, that wasn't entertaining. What's the emotion that you're feeling about it? It could be entertaining, or it could be vacuous. You could have, again, a common thing that often comes up is, oh my God, I've just wasted time. Now, how you use your time is different to my time, and I don't know how you want to fulfill your time. You don't know how I want to fulfill my time. And I think, again, it's looking at this fulfillment piece of what you're actually getting out of something when you go into it. And then I talk about the relationship as a side of, if you walk out and leave your phone at home, are you okay with that? Most people
It's really
do tend to go
tough.
scrabbling back.
No, yeah.
Okay. Then there's the other one. If you just had to give your phone over to someone and then go, there you go, just go, scroll through, take it. Look, a lot of people are really, really protective of their phones. So there's an awful lot of things within that, which is why I sort of looked at my habits all those years ago, and I really had to break up with my phone, which I know sounds slightly dramatic, but I had to create these boundaries around it so that I became in control. So the first thing that I say to anyone, and that I did very early on, was take off all notifications, except for the potential 3 a.m. phone call in the night. Now, that's a tricky one, but I also live the other side of the world. Now, I go through periods where the phone is not in my room, and then I go through periods once I've had that 3 a.m. phone call that it comes back into my room. So you have this pull, but overall, I would say the boundaries within it are good. Are you a person, the last thing you do before you go to sleep is scroll? Or the first thing before you've even said hello to somebody is on your phone. So I think there's so many facets around it that just to look at your own behavior and what you want to break down. That's what I would say.
Love it, Narelle.
So that's
It's
relationship.
so useful. It's so cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
really,
but I
really
think again,
important.
it's just really harnessing the functionality because
Yeah,
it's easy to. Again, none of us are, well, actually, probably I do like my calendar, but I'm not obsessive about my calendar. I'm not stuck in my calendar because I go in, I do it, and then I get out of it. Now, utility is very different because I love tech. So don't get me wrong about that. I am never breaking up with, I'm not using it, but I have this for me for a year and a half. I've been going offline from late afternoon on Friday through to Sunday morning. So I say it's
great.
36 hours ish.
Yeah.
I tried after about 6 months to extend it to 48 hours, 2 full days. And actually, that was just too much for me because although the intentionality was there, I really was missing out on things. And because, again, like I was saying, creating content, when I go back in, I've got a volume that I want to attack. So I always go, for instance, straight to my DMs first rather than scroll. I have to do my DMs.
Yeah.
If I've not done my DMs, then I literally pull myself up about, get off, stop just looking without going in with some intentionality.
Yeah.
And it's a tricky space again, because sometimes you do just want to escape and scroll. I would say, I'm naturally a voyeur, and I've always said that. But most of us are. Most of us watch, and I'm always like, comment, like, engage,
Yeah.
chat, because these are socials.
Yeah.
And it's that part that we're consuming, I think, a lot without even realizing what's coming past us. It's tricky, isn't it? So, whereas,
Really interesting.
enrichment, nourishment. So all of it is part of it. So if you're late at night scrolling, and I've had multiple things, so I'll give you some scenarios of some things that I've had that really gave me some wake up calls. Posting in real time for me. I had someone when I was out in town long before COVID, so about 6 years ago, and I'd just been to Morocco, and he was like, I know you, I know you, I know you. It was a guy. And I was out, and I was like, I'm sorry, I really I don't know you. We kind of went, might be connected through this, might be schools, might be this. And then 2 hours later, he came back to me, no, you've just been on holidays to Morocco. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, oh my God, I'm giving away too much of me that I was really uncomfortable with. So that was my first kind of reframe of what I was giving without realizing I was giving. So when I first started socials, I was kind of doing it as my own, again, social experiment, the lab, like you do with food, working out, trying to understand what my children were immersing themselves in at a young age and trying to see what happened. Now, I have been part of, let's say, stalking, people stalking me. I have been lured into finding out details about other people, which I'm sure many people probably have, where it's this pull, go back to years ago. I never used Friends Reunited, but go back all of that period of time and know the damage that did by this weird connection, by people trying to rekindle things. Then Facebook came along, which ultimately, a lot of people sat there with, oh, that's brag book and what people are putting out there, as opposed to this connectivity. And now you're living in the States, I'm living here, my family's in Australia. For me, long before socials came out, these phones provided the most phenomenal connectivity.
Yeah.
And that was invaluable. You even roll back to just before COVID, Zoom. I mean, who even used Zoom? I was one of the rares that used Skype, that used FaceTime, and I had absolutely no problem of doing this. The lives, the lot of lives, all of that, this phenomenal instantaneous connectivity. You look at your platform, how you've been able to spread the most phenomenal word with ease and access. And it's really, again, hard because these bite-sized snippets that we're hearing can send us into spheres of, did I hear that right? Or did I mishear that? Or I've misinterpreted it. And then we all respond in different ways. And I think with so much, it's like, take a beat, step away, talk to someone about it, like you and I have done. And you just iron over some creases and you're like, oh, back in the real world. And that we can trivialize and make things so out of control when they don't need to be. So I think that's just my general, let's say, phone hygiene. Yeah.
Yeah,
Now,
really good.
It's crazy, isn't it? Now, there's
Yeah.
other things. Have you seen there's a whole stack of new face creams that are out in the market that apparently are, so this high energy vis light that comes out, we can all, there's some heat as well that comes out. So there are now defense creams, defense barriers. Who is creating this? I don't know. I don't yet have any. But again, to create some resistance to what is being emitted. This beautiful 11s line on my forehead is totally, I reckon, from my BlackBerry and my Palm Pilot addiction years ago. Squinting, looking, intensity, furrowing my brow, screen usage, so much of the emotions that we show in our face, and I do have quite a highly expressive face, are created by different things, and even that towards the end of last year, I was like, oh my gosh, even though my script had changed, stopping with your eyes, getting prescription, getting glasses. And then obviously, again, here I am rattling 400 things off, how much things affect our memory and whether we are prioritizing remembering things or whether we're using, say, like the utility space to prompt us, whether it's someone's birthday, whether it's a diary event, whether it's how we even remember our phone numbers. So, it's tricky, isn't it?
It's
Tricky.
very, very tricky. And there was just a message from HBD, you can do it. He said very unusually, I love keeping my phone at home. So well done you, HBD, you can do it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And that's good. I think some people have fabulous boundaries around it. I think it's amazing. Yeah, so weekends, I still use my phone? I do. I just don't go on socials. I have looked at using the equivalent of just one of these phones. I would say that it's a breakup with socials because that's what lures
Yeah.
me in. Phone calls, the real connection that we make, the things that happen, the connectivity, I think is phenomenal. I've even got friends that are like, oh, when's the best time to call you? Whereas I'm like, please just call me. Just call me. I don't need to diarize an appointment. And I don't think I'm alone in that. I think many people feel the need to diarize an appointment to just
No, it's
have a
sad,
friendly
isn't
chat.
it? Yeah.
And it's tricky. All the same when people are like, no, I'm not going to pick that phone up. You're like, oh, okay then. And sometimes you're in the moment, but it's the same as a phone on the table. If notifications go off, how much does everyone else respond? Like, where's, the
Yeah.
response that even if it's not your phone, people still move and think and talk. So it's tricky. And then the body problems, there's the knock on, I think, of that. Again, I don't know how many of you have had, particularly I notice this children in the car, and this was again before COVID when I used to do live shares, and this neck tilt that people have where they're almost like 90 degrees to their neck. So you've got neck problems, back problems. Interestingly, there were some statistics that came out in 2018 with all these back and shoulder problems between 16 and 24-year-olds. Now, those children would now be 22 and 30 years old. So you can imagine the exacerbation of them then to what is now. The whole ergonomics, fingers and thumbs, they're both areas that I've had problems with even when my kids were little with RSI from my jewelry making. I've got a problem in one of my elbows that I 100% feel that is from my phone usage. So I'm swapping over pressure to do things left-handed. There's even that, people say if you can do this and you don't have any tightness in your forearms, that's great. But if you're feeling tightness, there's so many things, isn't there, that the knock-ons that we don't even yet know that are going to happen.
Exactly.
And I love the idea of, I think, digital literacy. Again, this is just something more, I think, why I'm so passionate about it, because the digital literacy isn't just for banning the under 16s around phone usage and schools not using them, because I think so much is led by the surroundings, which I'm like, just tomorrow or even now, go out, walk, use. To an extent, where we're building skills, where we're just getting this emotional connection from, where you see passion in people's eyes, or even like this, talking like this. I'm sure you can all see my passion. And it's hard. It's hard, but access, I think 100%. I don't believe in restriction, because with anything, same when you think of food, once you restrict, how much do you want it?
Yeah.
The boundaries you use, the narrative, like I just say, I don't use socials on the weekend. So I'm quite firm about it. And using that word don't For me, it's not like, oh, I might. Don't get me wrong. There's been occasional times I've been lured back in because something has kicked off. Don't you remember all those years ago when my car got egged and flowered? These kids had tracked one of my other children, tracked them on a social, followed them. And you're just like, the behavior is not right. And
Yeah.
that's where you're just like, we can all do things for fun, we can do things for banter, but is it sit with where your values and your morals actually are? So that's why, going back to what's your relationship? What are you doing? Because you are the only one that's in control of what you're doing, and that ripple that happens to everyone else.
Yeah.
I think I've said
No,
everything I need to say.
no, you're amazing. Thanks, Anne. I just saw a really, really good one just pop up from Lindsay Cressy saying, I think it's your thing. I started to use the mantra create before you consume. I love that.
Yes,
That
love
is
that.
so good.
And there's
Yeah.
amazing things setting up. You can set up within your phone alerts. So all my apps shut down. If you've got an iPhone, I don't know how other Androids work, sorry, but you can go and actually put in boundaries. So even if you want your phone to go into night mode at a certain time, creating the ritual around bed.
Yeah.
Even you still have your aura ring, don't
Well,
you?
I stopped wearing it because it's been so rude about my sleep. It's very depressing. You wake up in the morning feeling really good and you think, oh, great, look at my stats and it says you had a really rubbish night. So I think, well, I don't want to see that message first thing in the morning. I feel good. And,
Yes. Oh my gosh, I could not agree with you more. So I've got my Garmin here, and I got this 3 years ago now, four
yeah,
years ago, one birthday. And I used it to do this. Initially, I was like, oh my gosh, because I love tracking things for micro moments of time to really sort of get this baseline understanding of everything from food to response to
yeah,
stress to all of these things. And I was again the same. I was like, hang on, I had a good night's sleep, but that's saying you didn't. And then you start questioning yourself and like, no, 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 no.
yeah,
I'm in control. It's
yeah,
interesting for stats, but what am I going to do to change my behavior? Now it's the same as the iPhones can track your steps. I know if I don't do that 1 hour walk with my dog every
yeah,
morning, I don't get half my steps in. I can do the
yeah.
rest at the half for the day, but if I don't do that one walk, there is no way I'm making
Mhm.
10,000 steps because I will do the other half easily within the day. So I think it's finding your metrics.
Yeah,
Don't get me wrong, some of these things are phenomenal for the initial motivational tool to get that understanding and to really go, where's my baseline? And that's where tracking is phenomenal. Journaling things, going through and actually putting pen to paper, and that commitment to your own learning and understanding of you because you're in control.
yeah.
Other things there will always be obstacles, there will always be friction points,
No, because
and you just have to ride through
you have
them.
to
To
do
this
them.
this memory today, it's now fleeting, it's gone, it's gone.
Yeah,
On to
yeah.
the next thing.
On to the next thing. How do we justify it? And I know that we do. I know I do it myself. You were talking about the lure of things, and we kind of tell ourselves that it's really important, or this, that, or the other, and we really have to, have a look at it. It's very interesting how we can deceive ourselves with things like that, and it is like it is a strong, strong pull, a strong draw, that lure. And
Mm,
yeah, no, I'm
it is.
aware of doing that myself and thinking, well, what
Yeah,
what are you talking about? What do you mean it's important? Of course it's not. Tomorrow's
yeah.
fine. Yeah,
But for the entertainment part, yes. And
yeah,
tomorrow, there's this sense of urgency that we've all got, that
yeah.
we need to
That's right.
know now. And this demand is fascinating. But it's not just that, it's the emails, it's the CCing everyone, it's the sharing of information, sometimes that is not actually beneficial to all of those that are included. And so I think it's general, I would say, digital hygiene
Yeah,
overall, all screen usage from box sets. When who was it? Like the OC used to be on when I was younger, or Beverly Hills 90210, or Friends. You would have to wait. You'd have to wait.
yeah,
You
yeah.
couldn't just go and keep watching and keep watching and keep watching. And this anticipatory effect,
Mm.
I think, is really beneficial to all of us because it gets you being a little bit more thoughtful, a bit more creative, a little bit more emotive. Whereas sometimes I think this instantaneous of the sheer volume, I hardly put out as much as I used to put out because it's all there. You can go and dig and see it. It's hard, but we do things for
It's
boredom.
constant thing we
discomfort.
say to our kids as well, isn't it? Wait and see.
Wow.
You wait.
Yeah,
Yeah.
phenomenal, phenomenal. I mean, the whole thing is interesting, but again, go to a restaurant this weekend and think back to if you've got kids or when you were a kid, would the just shush or just keep yourself occupied. Here, have this iPad, have this phone. My children, who are 16 and 18, they even say to me they are so pleased that they missed out on being
Oh,
that
that's so lovely.
iPad
Yeah.
generation because
Yeah.
they've had to learn to be bored. They've
Yeah.
had to learn to feel discomfort. I'm not saying that they don't now. Geez, I can't even sometimes even extract them. They're surgically attached to them. But, you can only do your own behavior and hope that by osmosis, that's
Yeah.
all you can control is yourself.
That's
Uh,
all we can do. Who was the Adam Alter? You said how to get unstuck.
ah,
Is that?
Adam Alter. Yeah, so his recent book is Anatomy of a Breakthrough, How to Get Unstuck When It Matters the Most. He's a psychologist, and I think he's really interesting as well. But the one that particularly resonates with me is this Dr. Matthew Walker. And I think, again, it's just how people present and where you are. And
Yeah.
it's not just, I think it's the thing, it's not just about the blue light. And we're masking problems by just saying that the effect of this is due to one thing, like the same with our health, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not just the food, it's the movement, it's the connection. It's, there's so much around it. And, you know, the science and data just isn't there. But I think we
Yeah.
all know when you have this little bit of separation from anything, even whether it's a person, people come and go all the time from my page because again, they're like, oh my God, OD of her.
Give
And
us
then they
that,
come back. And then they
and
go.
then we come
And then
back
they
to
go.
start all over again.
They go.
What was so you gave us Cal Newport and Adam Alter and
Cal
sorry,
Newport, Adam Alter, and Matthew Walker.
Matthew Walker. Thank
Matthew
you.
Walker, yeah. So they're my three that I have found over the course of the years.
Yeah.
Really interesting.
Cool.
Really interesting.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That's really, really useful. So you said that you did try one of those little kind of burner phones that doesn't have any connectivity other than as a telephone. But you
You know
no,
what? I do too much on WhatsApp. My
yeah,
whole family, and not all my family have iPhones, so it's not just a
no,
matter of iMessage. And again, I don't need it. Initially, again, I went through moments of offloading apps altogether and then putting them back on. But, it's taken a while. Nothing is instantaneous. But again, you have to think that it's a significant improvement. And then occasionally, if I'm away on holidays, like even last year when I was in Thailand and traveling, I relaxed it a little bit because it didn't really matter when I was using it, but it wasn't lying on the sun lounges. So your general overall consumption with anything changes. And I think it's that of whether you go back to old habits or whether you keep the value of those habits and space
yeah,
there. And I think it's that space to be. And I even now I've got time alerts set up on no more podcasts, no more consuming this, all of that. I'm hardly on my phone except for, the odd WhatsApp message, but I actively go in, just do them to call. And I even on a Saturday as well now, go through my phone, which people might want to do, start scrolling through my phone and messaging people that I've not heard for a while. I offload some people, like actually in my phone book, randoms that have been in my phone for like ever, that some actually, I think they've even imported from someone else's phone in my house. I'm like, I don't know what these things are. And again, if you can't remember who people are in your phone, then, you'll
they don't need to
reconnect
be
if you need to. I
cluttering up our
reconnected at the beginning
phones.
of last year. Again, but one of these things, the beginning of last year, I reconnected with a girlfriend that I had met 20 years ago at London College of Fashion. And we've reconnected. We just lost touch just before COVID when I was basically having a breakthrough. Oh, sorry, a breakthrough when I was having a breakdown. She probably was like, breakthrough, get rid of her. And we just fell apart. But we've just picked straight back up.
So lovely.
And if
So
I
glad to
hadn't
hear that.
reached out, and again, you can only reach out and be like, hey, I'm sorry I was a dick of a friend and now I'm back.
Yeah.
And you have to hope that they take you.
Exactly. Message for you, Han, from O'Donoghue 6080. At weekends, do you still use your phone for personal calls
Yes.
and messages, or are you totally free?
No,
You do.
no, I'm not phone free. I am basically socials. That's the
Yeah.
way that I look at it, socials. So no emails, no Facebook, no Instagram,
Just
nothing that
phones.
basically sends me down. I don't use TikTok. So yeah, just phones.
Yeah.
Yeah. But again, it's just for me, it's quite liberating because I'm using it so much during the week for work as well. So I think this is the other balance, because I just had to extract myself, because then it became this blur of, what are you using it for? And
Yes.
again,
Yeah.
I've got loads of mates that follow me. I don't even know half of them follow me. They never comment. And that's when I'm like, hmm. And I've had judgment and commentary back to me. And you're like, you only know that because you saw that on socials. So just talk to me about it.
Yeah,
And
exactly. Communication
again,
is
that
all. Yeah.
standard classic of perception and judgment are complete and utter
Yeah.
horrible
Like
people.
Narelle, like you mentioned, you and I, we hadn't got ourselves into a bit of a pickle, and it lasted for about a year. It's quite a long pickle, and we got on the phone and we sorted it out. Oh, okay, I see. I didn't get it. Okay, good. There's a lot to be
Communication,
said
huh?
for talking. Yeah, there really is. Communication is all.
Anyway, it's immersive. We were trying to do digital hygiene and we're now just crept up 40 minutes.
That's pretty good, isn't it? Yeah. So if you had to give us three top tips for phone hygiene, this is a bit unfair, but are there any top three that come to mind, the most important things?
Yeah, notifications off. Time
Notifications off.
notifications off. Time boundaries on apps, and think about what really makes you happy and add more of that into your life.
Lovely. That's really lovely. Thank you. I mean, what could be nicer than that? And totally sane. Thank you,
Yeah.
my darling. Thank you so much. And thinking about your walk with a dog in the morning. What kind of dog is it, by the way?
Coco's a Cavapoo. She's 5.5.
Okay.
She, in essence, is like my therapist, which I didn't even realize I needed at the time. But yeah, phenomenal. I have learned so much from dogs, and similar to you saying about nature and what we can learn from our ancestors, we can learn so much from animals in the primal form. That's for sure.
Yeah.
They really say it how it is. That's for sure.
Yeah. No, they really do. They don't pretend, do they? No,
Yeah.
definitely not. And
Mm.
it's really lovely that you have that time. It's good for you, good for your doggy, and you are
And
definitely in sympathetic
definitely
mode. Yeah,
outside
yeah,
sunlight. I've been a big convert again to, we're all probably vitamin D deficient in this hemisphere as well. Outside, no glasses on before 9 a.m. in the morning. That is just something that I've been doing for years as well, of getting out, looking at the light, not at the light, but always forward facing to the light for a
yeah.
period of time, and getting that exposure in. And it's all everyone can look up in terms of what works for them and what doesn't, different pupil dilation. And again, this is part of, although I am on a screen, I obviously should be taking more breaths, but your breathing rate changes as well. So just watch that next time. You might all be watching, hyperventilating, listening to me, but your breathing in itself will be changing, which again is a different stimulant to you, which again is partly by this different anxiety that creates stuff. It does heightens our anxiety, and there's science and data. Whether it's science, there's data and commentary out there about that. I think actually it's that Matthew Walker that talks about that.
Interesting.
But yeah,
Okay.
fascinating.
And in case anybody's wondering about these blue light,
Oh, should I put mine on?
yeah, like
Oh, you've got blue ones.
can you can you cheat and wear these at night if you still want to look at your phone?
Apparently, they are meant to help, aren't they?
They
They
are
are
meant
meant
to
to
help.
help. The downside, people shouldn't be using them apparently during the day. I think that's one of the things, unless you're wanting to actively go to sleep in terms of the elimination. And this again is the
Yeah,
different, the HEV, the emissive light.
yeah.
It's looking at that from the morning light through the evening light with red light. There's so many amazing blockers that are on the market, but I've not been able to find, and you might have seen some really concise data about just what I like the concept of it, but
The
I
concept's
think,
good, and I think it's a very good thing to have a pair on hand for emergencies when you have to do something on the phone. I kind of fell into a bit of a habit with them, but actually, I don't think it's a good idea. I think you're looking at light anyway, and we shouldn't be looking at too much light when it's dark outside.
yeah,
When it's still light outside, it's
yeah,
okay. So I'd
yeah,
say let's not cheat because
definitely.
we're only cheating ourselves.
And people
Yeah,
put their phones on grayscale. There's even
yeah,
apparently a red light enhancer that you can add onto your phone as well. And I think again, it comes down to you as an individual and your user experience.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Mm.
People are saying thank you so much. They're going to be much more mindful of their phone usage.
I think that's all that you can do is just think, look around you, have
Yeah,
discussions with your family. Again, where that real connection is, looking at people's eyes, seeing where the true emotions are. And, especially if you've got small children, giving them tools to feel discomfort, to have conversation, to detach, to use their cognitive. All of us can use our memory so
yeah,
much more
yeah,
as we age, regardless,
exactly.
and yeah.
HBD and me, message for you, sweet ladies. This is so insightful, thought-provoking, and on point. Thank you so much. I'll be taking a look at my own behaviour. Yeah,
Mm.
me too. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
No,
Well done,
thank you so
everyone.
much for
Thanks
sharing
for
that.
joining.
Yeah, really, really good. And
Hmm.
HBD and me also says we love your passion, Narelle.
Well, see, it's funny, isn't it? Because you can go from a high to a low instantaneously. And that's where I would put, I've got this whole love-hate thing that I actually did a brain dump on this just before I got on. The boost of loveliness and support and the deflation that you can feel in very different measures, because something can be taken out of context or not, or you just don't know. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? But, that's
absolutely.
where it's working out your own parameters, your own boundaries, and yeah, showing up to your values.
Yeah, nicely said, my darling. Very nicely said. Type 1D underscore HBD says, I never look at my phone when I'm out walking the dog, just nature bathe, listen to the birds, watch the river flow, soothes the soul.
Stunning,
Really well
stunning.
said. It's
Yeah, I
sad, isn't it,
love
when you
that.
see people out in the park with their dogs or their babies and they're just, on the phone the whole time. It's really missing out.
It's the way the world is though now. It is
Yeah,
just what it is. So, and I think that's, looping back to, like I said, I totally love tech. I love the utility that it provides. I love the connectivity that it provides. We would probably have never met, because I would not have found out about one of those sales that I went to when you were there with Mrs. Add to Basket. And, there's so much around it, the beauty of what it is.
yeah,
And again, it doesn't matter whether you've got 2 followers, 100 followers, 1,000 followers, 1,000,000 followers. I think it's the same immersion that you get, the same feelings,
yeah.
regardless, because fundamentally we're human. And I think sometimes, yeah, I might act like a robot, but I'm totally not. Sometimes it would be good.
Thanks, Anne. And Lara just
Ah,
joining in there, getting notifications of, and that ping is almost impossible to ignore.
yeah.
So I'm going to
Pings
do that
and
too.
other
I've never
people's
done that
pings,
before. Yeah,
and then you just watch. It's again that micro bit of time that your brain is distracted because it's got nothing to do with you, and it's someone else going, what about me, what about me, what about me?
yeah. Mother
Interesting.
Cupboard said, yes,
Mm.
this is so helpful. Thank you. Thank you for joining, Mother Cupboard.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you everyone. Beautiful.
yeah. No, really lovely. Thank you so much, Anne. Really, really, really useful. Really enjoyed that.
Sorry, it's not been HBD chatty, but again, it's been general health and well-being. And I think emotional
Yeah,
well-being puts us
yeah,
all into a good place, because if you're not in a good place, I think that's where we can do things differently. If I'm exhausted and I've got different stresses going on in my own life, that
yeah.
affects my sleep. And so that also sends me, if I can eliminate one area that's a stressor for my sleep, then it's another stressor, because we feel stress from other people. Like, I honestly
Yeah,
believe there's this stress by osmosis as well.
for
And
sure.
even people say that if you happen to have children, someone said to me recently, you're only as happy as your happiest child, or something like that. I'm not sure what it is, but the fact that, again, this osmosis, we feel things from our friends, from our families, from just people around us,
Yeah, we really,
and then
yeah.
yeah, and then if I'm tired, well, then I act like a crazed rat and just probably inhale everything inside. So it's managing everything on all levels.
Managing everything on all levels. You're wonderful, my darling. Thank you so much. Really, really, really useful.
Thank
Good.
you for having me.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And we'll do it again. It was really good. And I love your energy. It's really infectious, really good.
I keep telling myself to slow down.
No, you keep doing what you're doing.
Thanks, everyone.